All right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to move this over, and then I'm going to actually put us on a big screen here so that you can see. Let me change over. I want this to go to the big screen. I can always do this, but right now I'm being a spaz, so why won't it let me change and go to full screen? Why won't it let me go to a full screen? That's so weird. I can't figure out. I can always do this, and I can't do it today. Anyway, so you're gonna have to see it this way now. I cannot for the life of me figure out what's going on. So I want you to think about, a lot of times when we think about our story, we think about our why story. And our why story is our why for why we're doing the business. You know, my why is for my family, for my children, my grandchildren. It's to make a difference in the world, especially with women, to empower women. Now that's my why. That is the reason I do the business. But my story is different. My story is different is how I came across Arbonne. Why did I choose to join Arbonne? Why am I doing the business? How do I want it to change my life? Now that's your story. That's what you're going to actually tell people about when you're introducing the reason why you're doing Arbonne. That's your I story. I like to call it your I story. So there's two different reasons, there's two different stories. So what we want to focus on today is what is your story? And you know, it's so funny because we're very emotional people, women especially. And women, we're so funny because we act on emotion. So we buy something, you know, we all do that, whether it's a pair of shoes or a new purse or handbag. And then what we try to do is we try to justify it with logic. And so we are not rational beings, but we're rationalizing beings. So I want you to think about that. We want to rationalize why we've done something, why we made a choice, why we made a decision, why we're doing something. So we decide we want to buy something and we go looking for reasons for why it's a good idea. And, you know, I'm looking at my purse today thinking my purse looks awful. It's filthy. It's dirty. I've had it a long time. I need a new purse. That's what I was saying today. I saw a pretty purse and I went, ooh, I'd like that. So then all of a sudden I went into rationalizing mode. Well, that's the same thing that we do with a business when people make a decision about joining Arbonne. So if we have a compelling story, that is what's going to allow you to draw them in emotionally. So when you have that really great story that is passionate and powerful, that's what draws people into your story. So let's talk about that for a second. You want to capture your prospect's attention with why you decided to have your very own Arbonne business. So why you wanted to do it. So what you have done with it or are going to do with it. So you're going to have, these are the different parts of it. You want to let people know, you know, why did I decide to start an Arbonne business? Okay, that's number one. Number two is what you have done with it or are going to do with it. So you could say, you know, I'm very excited because this is going to allow me to have a better work-life balance. This is going to allow me to be able to have a baby. This is going to allow me to be able to work, instead of full-time, to work part-time and have more, you know, freedom in my life, to be able to be home with my children, my grandchildren. What is it? What is it going to do, or what have you already done? This has allowed me to retire my husband. So you can really make that story have these components in them. The next thing you want to say is how someone like someone like them who you're talking to can do it so that they have someone like this, or how someone like them can have something like this. So this is going to allow, a business like this allows people like you, Kelly, to be able to leave your teaching profession, or would allow you to be able to teach one day a week so you could still stay in your education career, but it'll allow you to have more freedom and flexibility. So you want to think about that you've got to have this well-crafted story, but you've got to wrap it in emotion. If it doesn't have emotion, remember, we're emotional beings. We decide we want to do something, and then we're going to try to justify it with logic. So if your story is all about the facts, it is not going to touch anyone. So your story is going to need to be emotional. So here are the elements of your story. First of all, who you are and where you've been. So let's just take this as we're breaking it down. I would love to have different people tell me who you are and where you've been. So in other words, who were you before you were introduced to Arbonne? What had you been doing? So I would love to have anyone share with us and tell us, so we can kind of figure out and create a story that you're going to tell people today. So let's think. We've got Annette on, we've got Bree, Lillian, we've got Carissa, we've got Kelly, Kylie, Leon, Lydia, Natalie. I would love to have someone just tell me your story so I can help you create one. So who were you and where had you been before you were introduced to Arbonne? Who wants me to help them?
I was going to suggest Bree, because Kristen has spoken to them about you, and they were wanting to cut theirs out. So Bree, I don't know if you're
Bree, are you there that you could tell us a little bit about you?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, lovely, wonderful. So Bree, tell us about you. Who are you? What do you do right now? Because you're just new in Arbonne, so tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I am a commercial insurance underwriter, so I work in insurance basically. No.
Okay, so you're a commercial insurance underwriter.
Yes.
Okay, and so that's who you are and where you've been, and how long have you been doing that?
Almost 6 years now.
Okay, 6 years. Okay, and tell us a little bit about, what do you like about your business and what don't you like about it?
What do I like? I work in the broker's office, so I enjoy being around people all day and building the relationships. But what I don't like is the busyness and the hours. Yeah.
Okay, when you say busyness, what do you mean?
Well, there's not really, even though there should be, there's not much time for breaks throughout the day. So it's always really busy and everything's urgent.
So every moment feels like something's urgent. You've got to get it done. So it's stressful?
Yeah. Okay,
so urgent, stressful. Okay, and when you say hours, what are your hours?
It's supposed to be 8:30 till 5, but generally I probably do an hour or so longer than I'm supposed to.
So you work overtime. Do you get paid for doing your overtime?
No.
Okay, so it's just expected that you're going to work extra hours.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Do you married, have a partner, have kids?
I've got a partner, yeah, but no kids.
Okay. Okay, so this is what Bree could say. Let's just break it down what Bree could say, because this is going to apply to all of you. I want you just to think about what could I do to, really take what I'm learning. You're all still seeing the slides, right? Yes?
Yeah, we can. There's
If you could take off the list is in front of the slide.
Oh, the list is from the slide. So you're actually seeing the big slide. Okay. I'm seeing this, this little slide. Okay, so here's the elements of your story. Okay, so what Bree would say, he would say, I was introduced to Arbonne. Before I was introduced to Arbonne, I am a commercial insurance underwriter. And then, I would play on it. Is it a business that you find like fun and exciting, Bree?
some days, but most of the time it's not really that exciting.
Okay. So you could say, and you could make a joke of it. You could say, sounds exciting, doesn't it? I used to be insurance. I worked in the insurance world, and my dad was an agent. So every day I talked to underwriters. So yes, I understand that world. I ran insurance agencies.
Oh, wow.
So I do understand that world. So I'd say, I could make a joke of it and say, I've been doing that for 6 years. And though I love people and I love being around people, I had no idea the kind of stressful business it would be. Everything is urgent. Everything has to be done yesterday. Everything has to be done in the next few minutes. You get no breaks throughout the day. It's very stressful. And they, the hours are supposed to be 8:30 to 5, but that's a big joke. That's the big lie, because you're just expected to work overtime with no increase in pay. So when I was introduced to Arbonne, so you could say something like, what happened in your life to cause you to look for something more? So when you think about it, what was it that caused you to look at Arbonne? What made you really think about this?
It was when Kristen introduced the opportunity to me, and I just really thought I could make something of it.
Okay, so was it the thought of being able to create your own business?
Yeah, it was the thought of creating my own business and kind of building it up for when we eventually have kids and hopefully not having to go back to work.
Okay, so you could say that you could put in that you looked out 5 years from now. And you thought, wow, when I don't know about you, if you have a 5-year plan, if you have a 5-year financial plan in your life, but I didn't. But all I knew was I didn't want to keep having to work as hard as I was currently having to work 5 years from now. I wanted to be able to look out 5 years from now and be able to think, wow, we'd really like to start a family. But I don't want to have to work at a job that I have to put pantyhose on at 5 o'clock in the morning and get in really bad traffic and drop my baby off at daycare in the dark and pick her back up in the dark. I didn't want to have that as my future. And then I was introduced to Arbonne by a really dear friend of mine, Kristen. And when I really took a look at it, I thought, wow, I love these products. And this could really this could be my answer. I've always been more of an entrepreneur than I've been an employee. And the thought of working in a cubicle for the rest of my life didn't excite me. But the thought of being able to create something of my very own, that I could build and build my dream instead of someone else's really excited me. So what I'm excited about for my future is the opportunity to create something that could give me a much better work-life balance. So do you see kind of how I took those 4 elements of your story and put them into her story? So what you want to think about is how you heard about Arbonne. So for her, she was introduced to her by her dear friend, Chris. And she could say, Chris has always been so with it and so knowledgeable about, what's happening in the world of, of skincare and makeup and what's really current in the world. And so I knew if she really loved it, it'd be something I would really want to check out. And when I did, I thought, wow, I love these products. So put in, if you've got a great testimonial about your skin, what it did for me, for me, it got rid of my adult acne. It got rid of my orange peel skin. It helped me have more vitality and energy. I got on the 30 days to healthy living. I lost, 5 kilos. Whatever it is, you want to put that in under number 3. How you heard about it and why you had to be a part of it. And then what it says, what it's doing for you or going to do for you. Let's talk about that. Your story should only be about 45 seconds to a minute. It can't be longer than that, and I'll tell you why. Now, I can do a longer story when I'm doing like a Discover Arbonne, because people are really intrigued with knowing more about that guest speaker. But if I'm at a presentation or I'm talking to a prospect, we're doing a business chat, I want to tell my story, have it be compelling, but quickly come back to them and be starting to ask them questions within 60 seconds. So you really want to make sure once you get this done, and after I give you the formula today, I want you to write it. And then you're going to share it with your sponsor, your manager, and me, and we're going to help you even make it more powerful. But you want to practice it and then time yourself and make sure it's only that 60 seconds. So that, you really do want to make sure you're covering who you are, where you've been, what happened in your life to cause you to look for something more, how you heard about Arbonne and why you had to be a part of it, and what it's doing for you and going to do for you. So let's just talk about for just a second about some of the things you don't want to include in your story. I hear people do this, and I want to smack them when I hear them do this. One of my, the people in my Arbonne team, she would tell, when she came into Arbonne, before she would do anything, before she would tell anybody about Arbonne, she researched it for 6 months. So every time she would get up and tell her story, like at a Discover Arbonne, she would get up there and tell them about how she researched it for 6 months. So what is that telling everybody else there? What is that telling them to go do? To do the exact same thing that she's done. And that is a business killer. I couldn't believe, and I kept telling her, I said, don't say that. But she felt compelled to do that. Well, guess what? She had a hard time sponsoring people, because who wants to have to go research something for 6 months before you decide to do it? Nobody wants to do that. Then I've had people say, well, I've used the products for 2 years before I joined as a consultant. Well, guess what? That's telling people that you think they should go use the product for 2 years before they become a consultant. Do you want your consultants to feel like they have to do that before they join Arbonne? Absolutely not. So you want to think about what to put in to your story, but you also want to think about what you want to leave out of your story. So now I want you to think about what could you put in about what to say inside of your story. You could suggest behavior like this. You could, and I should have left that out. You can tell I built this quickly this afternoon when I came home. So I should say, you could say to them, I love the idea. So what Bree could say is she could say after she got introduced to Arbonne, what got her so excited was the idea of being able to have the best skin of her life. She could say, I love the idea of giving my body the best nutrition and health. So you could put that as part of your story about, what excited you about the business when you gave it a look. The other thing you want to do is, because people want to know what the biggest question that they have when considering a business like Arbonne, they want to know, does the business model actually work, and can I do it? So they want to know, can I do it? Does it actually work? Can I make money? And is it fun? So those are the questions that they want to know. So here are some things that you could say to help them. We're not really allowed, the business ethics does not allow us to tell people exactly what we're making. We can't flash paychecks, but we can say things like this.
DSA.
Yeah, the DSA, the Direct Selling Association, will not let us say it. But you could say, I'm really excited about it because I'm covering all of the kids' activities and still having money left over to be able to have a guilt-free trip to the mall, or I'm being able to pay for all the kids' activities and to support my shoe addiction. I've been in business just 12 months, and I'm already earning half of what I earned in my full-time job, or earn in my full-time job. After just a month in the business, I have a group of happy customers whose skin is changing and looking 5 years younger. So all of that's what people want to know. So, okay, you've been doing this business now. You've been doing this business now for, 6 months. Tell me how it's going. So when people ask you how it's going, these are some of the things you can tell them. You could say to them, after just 2 months working my business around my busy life, I've grown a team of 6 consultants in Toronto and Philadelphia and Brisbane and in Christchurch, in Sydney, and in Wagga Wagga. I have happy customers in 4 different states. I've earned bonuses and 2 promotions, and I was able to pay for our family's vacation. So that's how you want to do it. You want to create a picture, because what they want to know, does the business model really work? So if you will say how the business model is working for you, you're going to really intrigue people a lot. Just, saying, yes, I can pay for my kids' activity. I was able to save money and take our family on a vacation. I'm able to pay, my checks have increased this year to a point where I can cover our mortgage. And so I can pay our house payment and still have money left over for a guilt-free trip to the mall. So I want you to think about what you could say when people want in your story. So I want to just stop for a second, and we're going to go back, and let's go back to right here. And let's bring up a couple of more people, and let's do your story. So who would like to have help with your story about what you could say?
Go, Natalie. Go, Carissa.
Hi, it's me, Natalie.
Hi, Natalie. Would you like to have help with your story?
Yes, please.
Okay, awesome. So tell us a little bit about, what you were doing and what you've been doing, now, because now that you've jumped in and you're really ready to build your Arbonne business now, tell us a little bit about what you have been doing.
Okay, so I'm a stay-at-home mum. Well, I have been for however long, but just helping a little bit here and there with my husband's accounts for his business. And money has been sort of probably quite tight for us because obviously with my husband being self-employed, that sort of the income's up and down. So we've had to cut back on things like, holidays and certain things. What else? What am I sure? Prior to stopping work for my children, I was a PA, personal assistant, and so once the children went back to school, I really didn't want to go back into that. I was assuming I was going to find a job, like a part-time personal assistant or admin job that I could do, during school hours. And I really wanted it to be strictly school hours because I definitely wanted to be around for the children because I had been for such a long time, so I didn't want to change that. But then I found because I would hop on and try to find something that would be suitable, but I wasn't never, being a PA wasn't really something that I thoroughly enjoyed anyway. It was sort of something I think I fell into after school, and so it wasn't something I was particularly passionate about. So I know that I did a wellness coaching course as well. So I sort of struggled to find out what I really wanted to do that would have me do something where I was socializing and being around people and without actually having to be in an office.
Okay, awesome. So we need to pare that down. We got to make that be 45 seconds to a minute. So we got to think about what are the important parts. So I'm going to ask you guys, listening to Natalie's story, who you were and where you've been, what would you put in her story right there? From what she just said to you, what she just told us.
Natalie's been a stay-at-home mum with 2 kids and a husband that has his own business, so he's self-employed. So a husband who's self-employed. And she really was looking for something more because his income was not making ends meet, stretching it for the extras. So they had to really cut back on all the extras in life, traveling and having, the fun things. And so she really wanted something that she could do around her kids' schedule so that she could be there for them. And a lot of things that she'd looked at hadn't been really lighting her up. So when she heard about Arbonne, I think that's where we got to.
Okay, so that was really good, Kel. So let's put a little bit of passion. Let's make it a little bit more powerful. So she's, before I had my children, I was a PA. I worked out in the corporate world. I love being able to have my own income, my own money, a sense of purpose, feeling like that I had a direction for where I wanted to go. I came home and I love being a stay-at-home mom. I love being able to be there for the important times in my children's life, but I really missed having as something that I could really, new challenges and things that I could get excited about. I wanted to have people, actually say Natalie instead of saying mom all the time. I missed people. So what really caused me to want to be able to look for more is that, money is tight. On one income is tight. We've had to cut back on trips and vacations and activities. And I want to be able to give all of that for my children. So when I was introduced to Arbonne, and then right there, what would you say about Arbonne, Natalie?
Okay.
What do you love about Arbonne's products?
Oh, well, immediately. So how I found out about Arbonne was I got the sample pack to try. Oh, no, I came to discover Arbonne, but I did try the products for the sample first. And
what are the products? What have they done for you?
Well, I saw the difference straight away. Just being in my 40s or early 40s, obviously it was something that I was starting to look at, wanting to retain my youth. So I definitely just found the difference in how my skin felt and how it appeared. It looked less tired. Yeah, that for me, that was initially it, because I only really had experience with the anti-aging. I hadn't tried any of the nutritional products. So I feel like I can't really comment on that. But the makeup.
Okay, so let's look at what she said. Let's look at the important things that she said. She said, I've been a stay-at-home mom. I had 2 kids, and everybody is now in school, and I'm getting that little pressure from my husband, thinking, can you go back to work? Can you add money to our family's income? I didn't want to go back to work full time. I wanted to be one of those women that could add income to our family, but still be able to go to lunch with a friend. I wanted that freedom of being able to choose my own hours and make extra income. And when I was introduced to Arbonne, I had just reached my 40s. I was noticing the fine lines, and that my skin didn't have that same vibrancy that it used to have. It was starting to look a little bit tired and worn. And when I was introduced to Arbonne, within days, I went, wow, look at my skin. It looked glowing and beautiful. I loved it so much. I thought, my gosh, I need to make a business out of this. I was really excited about what Arbonne had to offer me. And what I found is, and that's where you're going to put in what I found, is that I can build a business around my family's schedule instead of my schedule, my family having to work around my business. And so I'm so excited for my future and what it's going to allow me to do. I'm going to be able to have my cake and eat it too. So that's how I would put in you want to have it short, powerful, use words that have a lot of very descriptive words. The descriptive words was, that for her story were that, I looked tired. My skin looked tired. It was not vibrant. So you want to use powerful words when you describe what Arbonne, who you were before. And then think of the powerful words that she could use to describe who she was before she came into Arbonne. I kind of lost my identity. I kind of lost that challenge, that waking up in the morning and having a challenge for the day. The folding the laundry just wasn't doing it for me anymore. Well, those are all things that women can really relate to. I wanted to have my own money. I didn't want to have to always ask my husband for money to go to the shopping center. If I wanted to buy a pair of shoes that I had my eyes on, I didn't want to have to say, oh, no, maybe next month. I wanted to be able to create a second income that was coming in that would allow us to go on vacations and to go to all of those magical places I always wanted to take my children to. So it needs to be short and sweet, but power-packed with descriptive words and descriptions that other people can relate to. So did that make sense, you guys? Did that kind of think about what you could do to change your story and make your story more powerful so that people can go, oh, I can relate to that. I wanted adult conversation. I wanted to actually have a reason for me to get dressed up and go somewhere. I don't know about you guys, but that's what I felt like. I sometimes thought if my children said, Mom, one more time, I was going to come out of my skin, because they had said it so many times. I didn't want to I felt like I'd become a little girl, and I was asking my husband for money to go to the mall. Well, guess what? Women can relate to that. I didn't want to put pantyhose on at 5:30 in the morning to go get in a cold car and go to work. Well, now I have a 30-second commute, and I love my life. I get to choose when I work and who I work with. When I worked in corporate, I was in a lockdown facility where you had to have a code to go into a room, and I was actually working with 6 chain smokers. I had no choice over who I worked with. Now I get to choose who I'm going to work with. So those are all things people want, but I'm putting it in a short, powerful story. So any thoughts or ahas or what you would love to change about your story?
Dina, can I just say something?
Yes.
Yeah, I've just found this really useful and informative, because I guess me being possibly a lot older, a lot more mature, I think I prefer that word, than most of the girls on the call.
I don't know what your problem is, but Leon, I'm not older than any of these people on this call.
There you go. I have to change my attitude, of course. Sorry about that background noise. And I think what it's done, just listening to this morning, has made me sort of given me a bit more of a thinking on why I'm doing this and how I can actually let other people know of my age bracket, I suppose, so that it is okay for me to be able to get up, and now that I'm retired from a full-time job, to be able to get up in the morning, to have a purpose to get up. And not just because I'm also a widow, I don't have the partner, I don't have the reason there to sort of get up, cook breakfast, all those sorts of things. So I guess that's what Arbonne has done for me, is making me interact much more with other people, get out there and actually, be part of the community and interact with a lot more people. So there's reasons now. There's a challenge to get out. I'm not just going to get up and sit on the front porch and rock in the rocking chair and wait for the day to be over. Exactly. So I still feel like I'm taking part. So thank you.
Before I was introduced to Arbonne, I am a widow. I am an empty nester. And there were times when I thought, well, this is as good as it's ever going to get. I thought maybe I was done. I thought maybe this is just all there was, left to life. And then when I was introduced to Arbonne, and I was around people who had goals and had purpose and wanted more out of life, I started dreaming again. And I thought, wow, maybe there is more for me for life. And what I have found is that every day is different. Every day is new. I get to meet new people. I get to have new challenges. And now I have a purpose for waking up, for getting up, making my bed, getting dressed, and go meeting somebody, for a cup of coffee that I get to share Arbonne. And it has changed my life. And it has brought a richness back to my life that I never thought I could have again, or that I deserve to have again. And what I'm so excited about my future and what it's done for me is I have a team. I have a team of partners that we're building our business together, and we're dreaming again. And so I'm so excited for my future.
Exactly. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So it just, if you can really take that formula, who you were, where you've been, and remember that they want to know what this is doing for you. If they want to know, I've been able to pay off the credit cards. I've been able to, put some money away for our travel. It's allowed me to support my shameless shoe addiction. It's allowed me to say she with the most clothes wins. It's allowed me to be able to have guilt-free, shopping mall trips. It's allowed me to put my kids in lessons and activities because I think I have the smartest kids out there and I want to do whatever I can for them. So that's what they want to know, because they're sitting there thinking, well, gosh, if she could do that, maybe I could do that. Because you're not saying that you're making, $75,000 a month. You're saying things that they can relate to that they would like to have. So make sure that you put that into your story, because they want to know, can I do it? Will you help me? Does it work? And is it fun? So really talking about fun is one of the key words that women want to know. Is it fun? So you want to make sure that you put that inside of your story. Okay, so I need to wrap this up. So tell me what your ahas were today.
One of the things is saying it with passion. I just love the way that you deliver it, Dina. It's always just exciting just to listen to it. And so I think when we get our story written down, it's practicing it, saying it with passion and excitement, so that people are really getting it like a story, not just like a list of this and then that and this and then that. Yeah, so people are hanging on the edge of their seat.
Absolutely. And using words that are very descriptive, that are, much more, draw a picture in your mind. And tired and, I had lost the fine lines and lost the, vibrancy. My skin looked like it was asleep. Just things like that really, describe, they're very picturesque of what was going on. I kind of had lost me. I didn't know where I was anymore. How many women can relate to that? So just using those kind of descriptions that people can relate to. So anybody else? How are you going to change your story? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I've got to rewrite mine. Some of it is okay from what you were saying. I'm definitely delivering it with passion, but there's always, you can always tweak it. So yeah, and it's never the same. It's never the same. It depends on who you're speaking to as well.
That's okay. That's okay, Annette. It is totally who you're speaking to. If I'm speaking to some corporate women, I'm not going to sit there and I'm not going to put so much about being a stay-at-home mom.
That's it.
You've got to tailor it to who you're speaking to.
Yeah.
I remember years ago, and I'll just tell you guys this. I was had met with a gal. I'd run a little ad in a paper, and I was meeting with a woman, and she sat down with us, and she told us that she had 6 kids. So I tailor my story, and I'm telling her, oh, this is going to allow you to be home with your kids. This is going to allow you to be there for the most important times of their life. This is going to allow you blah, 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 blah. And when I get all done with my presentation with my business chat, I hadn't allowed the poor woman to have be able to say one thing. And when I got done, I said, well, what do you think? Does this sound like something you'd really like to do? And she goes, no. And I was very shocked because, I hadn't even given her a chance to say anything. But I was so shocked. And she said, I don't want to be home with my kids. The reason I've come and talked to you today is because I want to be away from my kids. She said, I want to go out. I want to meet new people. I want to have a reason. for getting dressed and looking nice. So everything that I had talked about wasn't important to her. So yeah, so that's the reason you tailor your story to who you're talking to, and you bring out things that are important to them. And so yeah, here's your assignment. This is what I want you to do. It's the weekend. This is a great time to just spend some time today or tomorrow really going through those 4, and I'll post the 4 elements of your story and what you need to do with those. And then you want to make sure that you remember to put in about what it can do for you. So put in, I'm covering the kids' activities, I've been in business, because remember, they're sitting there thinking, well, do these kind of things really work? So what can you say? What do you think? What are you excited about? This is going to allow me to be able to put away money for our travel fund. This is going to allow me to be able to pay off my student loans. This is going to allow me to get us out of debt. This is going to allow me to be able to not have to ask my husband for money, or this is going to allow me not to have to go take that full-time job. So put in what it is that it's either already happening for you, or this is going to happen, that's going to allow you to do, okay? And then what I want you to do, I want you to message me your story. Write it out. It's not going to take you, 10 hours. And write it out and time yourself and see if it's about 45 seconds. I would love to help you make your story more powerful. So if you'll send it to me, I will help you make your story even better. This is something I'm famous for in Arbonne. I get people calling up, asking me to train on this for their nation's calls. So I can help you make your story more powerful. So message me, by Monday night at 9 p.m., your story. And I would love to help you make it even better than it is today. So thanks, you guys, for joining me. I hope you got some things out of this today, and that you can even make your business be even greater than it already is. And thanks for joining us, and have a fantastic weekend.
Thank you so much, Dina.
You're welcome.
Thank
And you
Thank
too.
you.
Thank you,
Yes.
Dina.
Bye,
That was awesome.
everybody.
Bye.
See you, everyone.
Bye. Bye.
Thanks.